Inglés para los negocios de importación o English for Import Business. Hoy vamos a ver la sesión 8, Session 8, que son las importaciones o imports en inglés. Como todos los jueves, su profesora Liliana Quipusco y vamos a empezar. Como les decía, como le comentaba a Katie inicialmente, pedirles la disculpa de acaso porque tengo un poco de bulla en el fondo. Le comentaba que estoy de viaje por trabajo y por un tema de investigación para mi tesis de maestría, y donde me estoy quedando hay una reunión a un par de casas y están con música en vivo bastante fuerte. Entonces, si es que no me escuchan bien, me avisan para alzar un poco la voz. De todas maneras, voy a tener la consideración de hablar fuerte. Y también estoy haciendo un poquito más groggy de lo normal porque me acaba de chocar la altura de Arequipa ahora que ya terminé de trabajar. Perfecto, igual. Si no me entienden algo, si necesitan que vaya más pausado, me avisan y lo hago. De todas maneras, voy a ir definitivamente un poquito más lento de lo normal porque me acaba de chocar un poco el soroche y vamos ahí. Listo, entonces empezamos. Vamos a ver las consideraciones del curso. Debes hablar inglés durante toda la hora de conferencia. You must speak English during the entire conference. Second, puedes realizar preguntas durante el transcurso de la conferencia. You can ask questions during the course. Sí, ya está grabando, Aldair. You can ask questions during the course of the conference. La luz ya está titilando. Ajá. Tercero, agradeceré que puedas compartir anécdotas, experiencias o problemas relacionados al tema para ayudarte. Third, I will appreciate you sharing anecdotes, experiences, or problems related to the subject in order to help you. Cuarto, al final de cada sesión vamos a tener un examen de 10 preguntas de opción múltiple con 4 alternativas. At the end of each session, fourth, we will have an exam of 10 multiple choice questions with 4 alternatives. Primero, sé que Caitlin tiene un nivel avanzado de inglés. John Mar, no sé si me puedes decir, ¿tienes un nivel básico, intermedio o avanzado de inglés? John Mar, Joel y Kelly por ahí. No sé, chicos, si me pueden responder qué nivel de inglés tienen para poder iniciar. Intermedio, perfecto. Básico, ok. Johnson y Joel, por ahí me confirman también su nivel de inglés, por favor, ¿sí? Entonces, ya que Kelly tiene un nivel básico, este es un curso de nivel intermedio, pero vamos a tratar de hacerlo un poquito más pausado para que Kelly nos pueda entender. Así que a partir de ahora voy a hablar en inglés solamente. Si no entienden algo, me lo escriben y se los explico en medida de lo posible en inglés para que puedan entender, o si no, como última instancia, se los explico en español. So, like I told you, this is the course English for Import Business, and today we're going to see session 8, that is imports. So, first of all, do you know what is import? So, when we don't know something, we go to the dictionary, right? Perfecto, yeah. We go to the dictionary to find out what's the word. So in this case, import, according to Cambridge Dictionary, it is to buy or bring in products from another country. On the other hand, or Oxford Dictionary says that it is to bring goods or services into a country from abroad for sale. So, first, Cambridge says that it is to buy or bring in from another country, and Oxford says that it is to bring but for sale. Good evening, Johnson. Perfect, basic. Okay, so we're gonna take it slow. Okay, if you don't understand something, you tell me and I will try to explain it in Spanish. Okay, so now that we know what import is, we're going to see the logistics of imports. So again, what is logistics and what is logistics of imports? So logistics, according to the Cambridge Dictionary, it is the careful organization of a complicated activity so that it happens in a successful and effective way. So it is organize a complicated activity so it can be successful. Then, Oxford Dictionary says that it is the commercial activity of transporting goods to customers. So, Oxford says it is commercial, it specifies that it is commercial activity and it is transporting goods to the customers. So, logistics of imports. What it is? It is the logistics of imports include the process of packing oriented to a specific client, to storage, custom procedures. In imports or airports, boarding and according to the terms of the agreement, the disembarkation and the delivery. So it is like in the first, as Cambridge says, a complicated activity of bringing the products that you are importing, including storage, customs, boarding, terms of agreement, disembarkation, and delivery between an exporter and an importer. So, how do we handle logistics of imports? Who is responsible for each process? Is it responsible the exporter or is it responsible the importer? So for this, we have a very effective way of finding out. We have rules. There are the Incoterms rules. Have you heard about them? Incoterms? Do you know what Incoterms are? Have you heard about them before? So, Incoterms are rules that have been developed and maintained by experts and practitioners, and they are brought together by the ICC, the International Chamber of Commerce. They have become a standard in international business for rule setting. So, as a standard, if you do business with a Chinese, you're going to use Incoterms. You can use Incoterms. If you do business with a Japanese, you're going to use Incoterms. If you do business with a person that is in the United States of America, you can use the Incoterms and you can use those rules. Then these trade terms, because Incoterms are rules that are specified in terms, help the traders avoid costly misunderstandings because they clarify the task, they clarify the cost, they clarify the risk, as you can see here. Task, cost, and risks that are involved in the delivery of goods from seller to buyer. So in this case, involved in the delivery of goods from exporter to importer, or seller or to buyer. What else can I say about Incoterms? They have editions, and the latest edition it is Incoterms 2010. In the Incoterms 2010 edition, we have 11 rules. And how do you write them? I mean, if you use them, is there a specific way you can use? You have to write them to be specific? Yes, there is, and this is the way. You write the Incoterm rule that you're going to use, then you put the place or the port as specific as possible, and then you put a comma, and then you put the word Incoterms using the trademark symbol, as you can see here, that is the little R with the circle, and then you write the year of edition. So, as an example, we see here that they use DAP, then they say that it is going to be the place. It is DF Mexico, Acesa, Almacén, Storage 28, comma, Incoterms, trademark, and they are using the 2010 edition. For example, another one that is most commonly used, you can use usually when you trade with Chinese. For example, I'm seeing a Chinese import right now. So they are selling Sif, Callao, Incoterms, 2010. Incoterms, trademark, 2010. That's how you should write it to be as more specific as possible. So in this case, all contracts that were made under Incoterms 2000, a previous edition, before the 2011, they remain valid. You can use a previous edition if you don't like, or if you don't want to use the 2010 edition. Let me clarify first what it says 2011, because even though Incoterms were made or were shared in 2010, they were not used until 2011. So that's why it says 2011. So if you don't want to use Incoterms 2010 edition, you can use the previous ones. Yes, you can, but you always have to clearly specify which edition you're using. This is why in here we said Incoterms trademark, and then you have to put the year of edition. Now, where can I have the link or the the document for Incoterms, because they are made by the International Chamber of Commerce? You can buy it from their webpage. You can buy it. I think it is like 30 euros if you buy the electronic version, or 40 euros if you buy the physical version. It is really expensive. In previous years, I was able to find the 2000 Incoterms edition in a PDF, but nowadays it is more difficult to find it. I tried my best, but I couldn't find it. However, I find, and I'm gonna give it to you right now, I found the resume. Good evening, Juan. I am going to try to speak as slow as possible, don't worry. So, in this link, you will have the free version of the Incoterms from the International Chamber of Commerce, but it is really brief. It is like a couple of pages. But if you want the complete version, you will have to buy it. It is expensive, I know. I haven't bought it myself. So a tip that I can give you is, if you are studying international business or global business, I think it is the other name. Always, at your university where your faculty is, there are a lot of libraries in front of the university, and they sell books, and they usually have the Incoterms, like a little book with this, and you can buy it from them. It is not going to be the original one, but you can have access to the complete document that way. That is the only way that I know. Also, you can try to find it in the internet, but it is not the original one. It is versions that other people or other entities or organizations that have read the original one. They have made like a resume, short version of them. So you can try to find it there, or maybe you can go to your university if you study administration or business, international business, to buy it from them. If you are not in international business, you can go to any university, especially when they on the faculty that it is international business, and you can buy from the libraries that are on the streets. So that is a way to find the document. Next, which are the rules? So we're going to see it here. We have divided into two. We have rules for any mode or modes of transport by sea, by air, and by ground. And we have another group that are rules for sea and inland waterway transport. So in this case, if you use a big, if you use like this, a big cargo ship. So we have first one, it is the X words, that it is EXW. Then we have FCA, that it is free carrier. We have carrier PPT, that stands for carriage paid to. We have CIP, that stands for carriage and insurance paid to. We have DAT, that it stands for delivered at terminal. We have the DAP, that it is delivered at place. We have the DDP, that it is delivered duty paid. Those are for any mode or modes of transport. And on the other hand, we have the rules only for sea transport. So these are the FAS, that it is free alongside ship. We have the FOB, cost and freight, and we have the CIF, that it stands for cost, insurance, and freight. Now, who pays what, and where I, as an importer, as an exporter, um, assume the risk until where? So we have here the risk transfer point from seller to buyer, or the risk transfer point from exporter to importer. So can you see this very well, or it is too small, right? So we're going to see first the rules for any mode or mode transfer. I think it is pretty small. I'm gonna try to make it a little bigger. Okay. Can you see here very well, or is it too blurry? Let me know, please. ¿Pueden ver bien o está demasiado borroso? Borroso, ¿no? Sí, no sé, creo que el momento que se ha pasado se ha puesto feíto. Okay, so I'm gonna share you my screen so you can look at it from a bigger picture, okay? Aldair, por favor, ¿me ayudas por interno en decirme si hay alguna consulta o algo, o más que todo si es que se corta o algo, porque voy a compartir pantalla, sí. Ni bien comparto con pantalla y ya no puedo leer lo que ustedes me escriben, sino van escribiendo las preguntas y ahí Aldair me las va pasando o si no, se las voy respondiendo al momento. Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen. Perfect. So I'm opening. I'm gonna hide this. Can you see there here? Pueden ver mejor aquí. Can you see it better? Is it better? ¿Está mejor? So, can you see the image? ¿Pueden ver la imagen? Okay, so Aldair says that I'm not able to see. I'm gonna share the screen again. Wait. Okay, perfect. I'm gonna share. I'm gonna share just a portion of my screen so I can see what you are writing, okay? Les voy a compartir solamente una área de mi pantalla para ver. It is hold on. Now, can you see? ¿Pueden ver ahora? Perfect. Okay, so it is better, right? Okay, so I'm sorry, I'm going to. Okay, perfect. So first, I was telling you that we are going to see the risk transfer and the cost. So here we have an example of the activities that we have in a commercial trade. So first, there is seller premises. Then we have the pre-carriage to handle place with the delivery. We have loading at the name place. We have loaded on. It means aboard, on board the vessel, the ship. Then we have the main carriage. It is still on the vessel, still on the ship. Then we have unloaded and at name place or destination. We have delivered to name place or terminal. Then we have onward carriage to name place, not unloaded, and then we have the buyer premises, unloaded. So like I told you, we're going to see divided in two sections. First, the ones that are used for every kind of transport, and then we're going to see the ones that are just for sea transport. Okay, so first, the X words, that it is EXW. In this case, it is the most basic one. It is considered in here, in Peru, as a national sale because the seller, the exporter, is not doing anything about customs or international matters. So it is considered as an local and national sale unless they present documents that they are doing customs or another type of international commercial matters, so they can say, they can specify and they can clarify that it is not a local sale. So first we have the exports, that is the basic one. It means the product risk transfer. The seller is going to transfer the risk, or he's going to be responsible for the product, for the goods until seller premises and not loaded. So if I'm selling, I'm going to sell it at my place. It could be my office or my factory, but not loaded to the transport, to the buyer's transport. So from now on, the buyer is going to be responsible for all this process. You can see the hand, right? Pueden ver la manito, ¿cierto? Then we have the FCA. It is freight carrier. So for this, when the risk transfer happens, the risk transfer to the buyer or to the importer happens when the vehicle arrives at the named place ready for unloading. So in here, so it means that, again, I'm gonna sell my pen, and me exporter and the importer, me seller and buyer, we have agreed that I'm going to pay. I'm going to deliver it not at my factory, to another place. So I'm going to send the goods there, but I'm not going to unload it. It's going to be loaded. So that there, it is when the risk transfer to the buyer happens, where the risk transfer to the importer happens. Is it okay? Do you understand? ¿Pueden entender hasta acá también? Let's continue. Then we have the CPT. The CPT is the carriage paid to. It means that the risk transfer to the buyer happens when the goods are taken in charge by the carrier. So, once the goods, in this case my pen, is taken in charge by the carrier, buyer's carrier, that's when the risk transfer happens. Then we have the CIP, that it is carriage and insurance paid to, when the risk transfer happens. The risk transfer happens to transfers to the buyer when the goods are taken in charge by the carrier. The same. Then we have the DAT, that it is delivered at terminal, where the risk transfer happens, where the risk transfers to the buyer, when the goods have been delivered and unloaded at a specific place inside the destination terminal. So I sell my pen, and I'm going to transfer the risk when this pen is already on the buyer's country. Let's say I'm going to sell it to the United States. So once my pen it is on the United States on and have been delivered and unloaded at an specified place inside the destination. Let's say we are, I don't know, maybe we agree that I'm going to transfer happens to Dubai. Then we have DAP, or can you hear me? Hi. Perfect. So we're gonna continue. I'm gonna share my screen again, okay? Alair, ¿hasta qué hora podemos pasarnos para poder manejar mi tiempo? Regálanos la mayor cantidad de tiempo que puedas, por favor. Perfecto. 8, 9:30 irás. Okay. Perfect. Can you see the image? ¿Pueden ver la imagen? Perfect. Okay, so we were at DAP, right? Delivered at place. So where the risk transfer happens on DAP. It happens when the goods arrive at the destination and the buyer is responsible for the unloading. So once the goods, in this case my pen, arrives to the United States, the buyer is going to be responsible for the unloading of the pen. It means in here, as you can see, to a place we decide, but it is not going to be unloaded. Then we have the DDP, that is delivered duty paid. It means that the risk transfer is going to be transferred. The risk is going to be transferred to the buyer when the goods arrive at the destination, and the buyer is responsible for the unloaded too. Again, as in the AP. Now we have the other part. Let me check. Let me find the other image here. Okay. Okay, I have here. Can you see? ¿Pueden ver al leer la pantalla? La imagen. Can you see the image? ¿Pueden ver la imagen? Borroso. Okay, perfect. So now we have the weights, the rules for. Okay, okay. So now we have the rules for sea transport. So we have the FAS, that it is the free alongside ship. So when the risk transfer happens, it is transferred to the buyer when the good arrives alongside the ship. As you can see here, in the graphic, when my pen it is alongside the ship, it is when the risk transfer happens. Then we have FOB, that it is free on board. So when the risk transfer happens, then it happens when the goods have been loaded into the ship. So you can see here, free on board. It is be loaded and it is on board the vessel or the ship. Then we have the CFR, that is cost and freight. The risk transfer happens when the goods have been loaded into the ship. So it is the same as FOB. Then we have the CIF, that it is cost, insurance, and freight. And it also, the risk transfer happens when the goods have been loaded into the ship, the vessel, here in the graphic. So now we're going to see the responsibility for the cost. Let me find that image, and I have it here. Oh, wait. Wait. Okay, I have it here. Okay, so now the responsibilities for the cost, in this case, who is going to be in charge of paying which and which. operation or thing. So in this case, the orange parts are for the buy. It means that the buyer pays, and the green ones, it means that the seller pays. So in this case, I'm sorry. In the X words, we're not going to see it like this, like we saw it on the previous graphics. We're going to see it this way, okay? From up to down. So we have in here origin in warehouse, loading goods, export custom duty and taxes, inland freight, terminal charges, load on vessel or the ship, the vessel means the ship, ocean and air freight, insurance, desk and port charges, duties, taxes and custom clearance, and delivery to destination. So in this case, in an export, who pays what? In an export, the I'm sorry, the seller pays the origin warehouse, and the buyer pays the rest, all of the rest. So it is the basic one, like I said. Then we have the FCA, where the seller is going to buy the origin warehouse, the loading goods, the export duties, customs and taxes, and inland freight. And from here, from terminal charges, the buyer is going to pay. Then we have the CPT, that it means that the seller is going to pay origin warehouse, loading goods, export, inland, terminal, load, and ocean freight or air freight. The buyer is going to pay the insurance, but the desk and port charges are going to be paid by the seller. And then again, the buyer is going to pay the duties, taxes, and custom clearance for import and the delivery to destination. Then we have the CIP. The seller is going to pay everything from the origin warehouse up until the desk port charges, and the buyer is going to pay the duties for import, taxes, and custom clearance, and the delivery to the destination. Then we have the VAT. That is going to be the same as SIP, but we just see that what changes it is the risk. Then we are going to have the DAP. That it means that the seller is going to pay everything except the duty, taxes, and custom clearance. That is going to be paid by the buyer. And then we have the DDP, that it is the most complete one. It means that the seller is going to pay everything. Then we have the ocean and freight, ocean and inland waterways only. That it means that we have first the FAS. So the seller is going to pay from origin warehouse up until terminal charges, and then from load on vessel until delivery to destination is going to be paid by the buyer or the importer. Then we have the FOB, that it means that the seller is going to pay from origin warehouse up until load on vessel, and then from ocean and air freight is going to be paid up until delivery to destination by the buyer. Then we have the CFR, that it means from origin warehouse up until ocean and freight is going to be paid by the seller, and from insurance until delivery to destination is going to be paid by the buyer or the importer. And finally, we have the CIF, that it means from origin warehouse up till insurance is going to be paid by the seller, and then the last three ones, that it is the export charges, duty, taxes, and custom clearance for imports, and destination and delivery to destination is going to be paid by the buyer. Okay, so now we know how to handle the logistics of imports, right? We've learned the terms. We learned that there are two groups of rules, one for any mode or modes of transfer, and the other one for sea and inland waterway transfers. We know that we have to be very careful with the risk transfer and also with the responsibilities for cost. Who is going to pay what? It is not easy. You're not going to learn it the first time you see it or read it. You have to study them. So you will have to then check again until you remember. For me, even though I work with this with the Incoterm rules, sometimes I have to look at it because I I cannot memorize everything. And let's remember that every 10 years the rules are updated. So now it's going to be a new set of Incoterms rules that is going to be Incoterms 2020. Maybe if you are in the international trade area working or studying, you're going to see that now we are seeing the conference for Incoterms 2020. What is going to come out Incoterms and the ICC with new? So we're starting to see a lot of conference for about that information. So we will have to update. So once the Incoterms 2020 came out, we will have to study again. It is said that they are going to eliminate the export. It is not going to be considered as an Incoterm rule for the next edition. So we're going to see. Now, we have the custom management of imports. Do you still alive? Are you awake? ¿Sí, amigos? So, let me know. We're going to see the customs management of imports. So first, we're going to see what is customs. Customs, it is the place at port, airport, or border where the traveler's bags are examined for illegal or taxable goods. So, Cambridge says it mentions port, airport, and border, and it mentions also about here. Cambridge mentions travelers' bags are examined. Another definition for customs from Cambridge, it is the money paid to the government when you take particular goods from one country to another. So, money paid. Administers and collects the duties levied by a government on imported goods. So we have here duties levied and official department. It is different from what we see in Cambridge Dictionary, but they are all good. And also we have the duties that place our port, airport, frontier, where the official checks for incoming goods, travelers, or luggage. So these two are really similar, with the only difference that in here it says that they examine travelers' bags, and on the other one it says incoming goods, luggage, and also travelers. So it is more complete. So from this, now that we know what is customs, we have the question: how do I import? How do I manage my customs? How do I manage customs as an importer, or if I want to start a new business? Who can do that? Can a person do that, or does it have to be a company? So we have two ways. We have an import for consumption, and we have the importe fácil. So importe fácil, it is a service that was implemented by SUNAT, and it means that we can receive or import goods via SERPOS. You know SERPOS, right? So, who can import? Who can use import fácil? We can have a natural person or a legal entity. A company or a regular person as you or me can use the import fácil. In this case, we can have with. Oh, wait, I'm going to write. It's going to be awful, but I'm going to try. Okay. Okay. We have with rook or without rook. So rook, you know what rook means in Spanish, but in English it means identification, tax identification number. So if you don't have a rook, you can use import fácil. You can import, but you only can do it 3 times in a year for a maximum of $1,000. On the other hand, you can, on the other side, you can do one import per year from 1,000, that it is more of 1,000 up until 3,000. But if you have a rook, you don't have any problems. You can import as many times as you want, and you won't have to. That means you can import as many times as you want if they are going to be if the products that you're going to bring are going to be for your own use. If you're going to sell, you have to have a rook, a natural person rook, or in this case a TIN, a tax identification number, but also you have to be a person, natural person with rook and a company, a natural person that has a business, in this case, for Sunat. So now we have 2 ways of using import fácil. We have when you import less than $200, that it means that there is no customs procedure and also there is no payment of import duties. And on the other hand, we have if you import more than $200 up to $2,000. In this case, it could be subject to the payment of an import duty. And once the duty has been paid, they are going to let you know that it has been, you have to pay. And once you pay on an authorized bank, Sunat is going to let Serpos know that you already paid, that it is all clear, and they're going to give you your products. So these are the banks, or we can pay our duties, import duties. We have the BCP, the UBA, the BANBIF, the Scotiabank, and the Banco Financiero. Also, we can pay Banco de la Nación. But for Banco de la Nación, we have to print the paper for where we are for the import duties. On the other ones, we can just give the number that it says on the paper or the notification that we're going to receive. So this is the easiest way of import and handled by our own the customs. In this case, not by our own, but we can handle the procedure of import. But what happens if it is a higher amount? If it is a higher amount, you will have to do a regular import and use the stakeholders. In this case, you will have to use a custom agent, an international freight forwarder, or an integral logistic operator that will handle the whole process. But first, before going to the import for consumption, we're going to briefly see the custom for management of import in a very nice image. So wait here. So first, Once the first step is that the natural person or company sends the products to Peru. Then it's going to travel by sea, by air, or by land, and the products are going to arrive to Peru. Then these products are going to be transported to a deposit for customs control. Then we have two options. If it is less than 200, we don't pay duties, and automatically they will go to be picked up at your surplus office. However, if your product is really small, they will bring it to your house. For example, what can I show? What can I show you? I don't have anything in here, but I usually buy rings and earrings and necklaces that are for my own use, and they are really small packages. So suppose it is less than 200, so it doesn't pay duties, import duties, so it goes straight to my house, and the mailman brings them to my house. So it's really easy. On the other hand, what happens if it is more than 200 up until $2,000? We have two options in this case. We have the option that we don't pay duties. Customs say we don't have to pay duties, so it again goes automatically to pick up at surplus. And the other one it is that we have to pay duties. So in this case, we're going to receive a notification saying, "Hey, you have imported goods, and you have to pay duties. This is the amount that you have to pay. So please go to the bank of your preference and pay your duties." So once we pay the duties, customs are going to send the clearance to our postal service, in this case our surplus from where we live, so we can pick it up. Now, which surplus office do I have to go to pick up, or to know where? In this case, you can call surplus and ask, "Hey, I live in, I don't know, maybe Avenida Thomas Valle Avenue, 1818, and maybe San Martin de Porres district. So I want to know which surplus office it is. It is where I have to pick up my products." So we are going to tell you, well, you have to go to the office that it is next to the San Martin de Porres. It is, I don't know if you have seen it, next to Havish Avenue. So that is the postal office for most San Martin de Porres. So if you live in another place, you can ask suppose where is your office, especially for you to pick up. So now the other way, it is import for consumption. So in this case, you will have to be a natural person with a hook or a TIN. We said it is tax identification number, or you can be a legal entity. In this case, the import for consumption, it is a customs regime that allows to bring goods into customs territory, in Peruvian territory, for consumption after you have paid or make a guarantee for the customs duty or other applicable duty, as well as the payment and surcharges and fines that you may have been generated in compliance with formalities and other customs obligations. In this case, fines will come if you don't number or if you don't describe well your pros, or maybe you said you were bringing, I don't know, maybe um one cell phone, and when customs check it, you didn't bring one cell phone, you bring three or four, you will have to find if you are misdescribing or you are lying to Sunnah. So in this case, which stakeholders we will use? We will use a custom agent, an international freight forwarder, or an integral logistic operator. In this case, if you are importing for the first time, it is better if you use an integral logistic operator, because he will help you and he will do all the process. So you will learn a little more on what you know how to do it, or how to handle and how to check everything, because you are not going to do um, anything. So you will have to check and know how to handle the situation. You can use a custom agent and international freight forwarder, a different person for each process, if you find that that is the most uh, cheaper way. So now, which documents do we need for a declaration to sustain a declaration? We need the authenticated photocopy of the transport document. We have the we need the authenticated photocopy of the invoice, factura, or document equivalent, or the contract. We need a photocopy of proof of the payment. Maybe you made a bank transfer with wire. You can use that. You need the authenticated photocopy of the certificate of the origin, if you need it, if it is applicable. You will need the DAB. This is in most cases for the CAN, Comunidad Andina de Naciones, and others of the nature of origin of the goods and the percent of the regimen required. In this specific point, is most about if you need a permission. For example, if you're bringing cell phones and you need a permission from the Ministry of Transport and Communications. Then, one other thing you can know about this, you can know that we have customs control channels. That it is like a traffic light, as you can see here. We have a green channel. That it means if your codes are green channel, it means that you will not require any documentary review or physical examination. You will go just be ready to pick up, or in this case, levante, as they say. The other one is orange channel. That it means that it is the not the codes, but the documents are going to be reviewed by Sunat. And then last, you have the red channel. That it means that it is going to be subject to physical recognition according to the specific procedure. So, a vista, that is called the person, or a custom officer, is going to physically check your goods, to check that, to be sure that what you are declaring, it is what you are bringing. Oh, I'm sorry, it copied the same. So last one, we have the restricted and prohibited goods. So at this one, we have to know that we have restricted and products that cannot be imported to our country. So in this case, prohibited import goods cannot be destined to the import regimen for consumption. Most of these prohibited import goods are chemicals. On the other hand, we have the for the destination to the import regimen for the consumption of restricted goods, there are some documents that we will need some documentation required for specific rules before numbering the declaration. But there are cases that we can number our declaration and then we can have the documents. In this case, it is especially for the restricted goods. like I said, for the goods that you will need a permission before or while you are declaring. So in this case, I can say there are cell phones, communication, phones, tablets, if you bring more than five. Also, makeup. It is then you need a permission. Makeup. If you're bringing toys. What else? Office supplies. Also, if you're bringing any kind of book that contains a Peruvian map, you will need a permission too. So there's a list of restricted and prohibited goods that you can find on SUNAT. You just type on Google restricted and prohibited goods SUNAT and you will have the list of products. In this case, in Spanish it would be restringidos y prohibidos. So now that we have seen all of this, we're going to make a little review of what we saw today. We saw the logistic of imports, we saw what is logistic, how we have the Incoterms that are going to help us do be more clearly in which person, if the importer or exporter is going to have a risk, where it's going to take place the risk transfer, who's going to take care of the cost. We saw that we have two groups, one for that it is for all modes of transport and the other one that is only for sea and inland waterway transport. Then we saw customs and how we can handle customs if we can bring as a regular person or if we can bring as a legal entity, if we are going to bring in from 200 up until 2000 or we're bringing more than that amount. So finally, these are the references where I have taken all the information. You can check it later if you want to learn a little more about it. And finally, I want to thank you for your attention and I hope to see you next week. So I'm going to give you the links for the exam and the PDF so you can check it. Y nada chicos, les agradezco por estar presentes. Les estoy pasando ahorita el link de la PPT para que lo puedan revisar. También les voy a pasar el link del examen para que lo puedan dar. Como todas las semanas les repito que el examen va a ser de lo que está en las diapositivas y de lo que hemos hablado. Más que todo lo de las diapositivas, así que denle una revisadita a las diapositivas, vuelvan a dar una repasadita al video. Y finalmente les doy un link de una encuesta que los chicos de Comics me piden que la llenen para que podamos mejorar las clases. Voy a terminar de grabar.